Hi all, welcome to One Pitch Catch. This is a few days after the India-England series ended. Now that we think about it, in just reflecting a few days later, is that a creditable result? What 2-all for both teams? Was this a great opportunity missed by both those teams, or maybe by India or by England or both? I mean, it almost seems like both teams made so many mistakes over the course of the entire series, whether it was 11 selection, whether it was the playing approach, or tactical things, say around DRS, bowling combinations, when people are bowled, etc. It almost seems like both teams probably have to do a lot of introspection, because really either of these teams could have won the series, say 3-0, 3-1, if not by a larger margin. So maybe if you look at it from that perspective, Ganesh, what do you think? Is 2-all a fair result given that both teams were imperfect?
No, I think it's a very valid point you bring up, Jaga. I think it was a great opportunity missed for both teams. Yes, I think that's a very valid thing that you have voiced out. I mean, by looking at that, if that statement is right, 2-2 is obviously right.
Yeah.
So both of them tried to let the other one win. I completely agree. It could have easily been a 3-1, 4-0 for either of the teams if one of the teams had made lesser mistakes. I feel. Though India can be basking in drawing the series, being very young team, a lot of new guys, new captain, all those things, India can be basking in the glory. But imagine that they had done a few more things right.
Yeah.
This young team, without the big stalwarts, the long-standing stalwarts, if they had won 3-1 and 4-0, I
Yeah.
mean,
Amazing.
amazing. It would have been Gambhir would have been lifetime coach. Shubman Gill would have been lifetime captain. So those are the things. I mean, what do you think would be the biggest? I mean, probably mistake number one that India. Let's start with India.
Let's go in chronological order. I think
Mm.
the first mistake that India made was to announce that Jasprit Bumrah would basically only play three tests. I think that kind of gave the hand away right from day one. I mean, there's right now a lot of debate going around in terms of whether any player should actually be able to pick and choose which tests or matches they play and things like that. That's a different debate, and it's not the first time. There have been so many times, so many players have chosen to take time off, etc. It's part and parcel of being in a literally a 365-day circus, right? There's hardly any rest time, so it's completely justified. And then we get into like having selected a squad, which probably I think for the most part was the best that could be selected under the circumstances. You could probably argue whether Sarfraz should have been selected, or should there been a different.
Shreyas
I don't
Iyer,
think there were too many other players also.
Shreyas Iyer and Sarfraz are the
Yeah, Shreyas
names.
Iyer and Sarfraz were probably the ones that could have been considered, because you're bringing back Karun and you're introducing Sai. But I think so the squad selection per se, not too many complaints. The problem came in when you started picking the 11. Now, I think pretty much everybody, except maybe the team management, thought that Kuldeep should have been playing most of the tests, if not all the tests. So I think that was a big problem. And it kind of seemed to me that it is almost like you're buying an insurance for a collapse in every innings. Like you're literally trying to strengthen your batting every single time and at the expense of the bowling, when the reality is that a bowler that gets you two or three top order wickets is so much more worth than say a batsman that gives you say a 50 or a 70. Yeah, sure, hundreds are different, but we're talking of a bowler picking up say two or three wickets in each innings, which Kuldeep was definitely going to be able to do, given that the pitches, as it turned out, were batting friendly. None of them was overwhelmingly supporting swing and seam bowling, except maybe I think the oval test had a lot more assistance for the bowlers compared to the batsmen, and that too it faded out as the match went on, because the first two innings were 220 and 240, the last two innings were 390 and 370. So it obviously faded out as we go along. So from that perspective, I think the whole concept around picking a batsman to ensure against batting collapse didn't really work, because the tail was collapsing so often because they couldn't bat, right? So I just think that that selection really hurt. That that was, I think, very unacceptable. Leaving somebody like Kuldeep out on pretty much every game. It's almost like Kuldeep is now the new Ashwin for overseas conditions because Ravindra Jadeja will bat. In fact, he's probably going to bat a little bit more than he bowls. Washington Sundar is also likewise. So that where does that leave Kuldeep when the games are being played outside of subcontinental conditions? What
Kuldeep
did you
is the
see?
new Ashwin. Like you say, Kuldeep is the new Ashwin. He'll go abroad. I mean, Kuldeep is not as old in his
Yeah.
career to announce retirement and walk away. I mean, I am sure that this is what happened with Ashwin, that he was not picked. He was not going to be picked in Australia, and so he decided to hang his boots. Which was. I mean, this is not the first time that Ashwin faced that in Australia. He
Yeah,
has
that's
faced
true.
that several times before in also. I mean, a little bit in
In England
Australia,
also.
a couple of times in England, and so all those times he has
South
faced that.
Africa.
So that, yeah, South Africa. So he has faced that. So that's why he decided. So it's time, he decided to call it a time, and he did it. Like you say, Kuldeep is the new Ashwin. I think so. If Kuldeep had played at least 3 games this time, the results could have been different, definitely.
Yeah,
Because like I always keep harping on about the baseball approach, which will not work all the time against Kuldeep. He may
yeah,
probably, if I mean, as a couple of times our opening pacers got hit, like 10 over 70, 75, England started. But at that time, if Kuldeep had come, probably Kuldeep would have also given some runs. But the moment the
yeah.
ball crosses the 25, 30 over mark,
Right.
I am sure Kuldeep would have made a lot of difference to the scores that England posted, and England would not have had the freedom to go berserk all the time. I mean, even in this, they going berserk didn't work. Okay, that will come to that a little later.
Right.
But with Kuldeep, I am sure the result would result the score, that series score line would have been different. Whether the team management agrees or not, I feel sorry for Kuldeep. I mean, everybody
And we
says
and we
Ash.
saw the impact he had even in, I think, 2024 when England was in India. He didn't play the
Exactly.
first test or something like that.
Yes.
The moment he came in, he had an impact.
They do not know wrist spinners, especially left arm wrist spinner. I am sure England, even if they gave up the baseball approach, they are going to struggle. They are
Yeah.
going to struggle against him. With baseball, they are definitely going to struggle. I mean, I don't know what is the thinking behind this. Like you always say, that's the. I mean, they themselves don't have confidence in their top 6, 7 batsmen, Chaka. So that is
Correct.
why they want to they bolster it with an eighth and the ninth batsman, because they know that 9, 10, 11 are going to fall like
Yeah.
anything. That is okay. But even then, Kuldeep, I feel Kuldeep would not have fallen like those 9, 10, 11. If
Yeah, yeah,
Kuldeep was
absolutely. Yeah.
batting at
He can
8,
hold his own.
he could have. I mean, I'm not expecting him to score a 25, 30. At least stand for 40, 50 balls. That is
Yeah.
what was lacking with the 9, 10, 11, which Kuldeep would have done. So, but still, like now the 2-2, I hope they introspect. They don't feel good about 2-2 with this team and just leave the introspection out, is what I feel. Um, that and I mean, apart from selections,
But what about the batting as such? Did you, and in fact, while on the topic of Kuldeep, I mean, obviously he was the fact that he was not as good a batsman compared to Washington or Ravindra Jadeja came into the picture. But my counter to that is you don't pick a batsman in the 11 on the basis of whether you can bowl. So why are you picking a bowler on the 11 on the basis of whether you can bat, right? You don't, let's say they dropped Karun Nair when they dropped him in the fourth test. They wouldn't have gone and told Karun, hey, Karun Machai, I don't think you can bowl off spinner, so I'm taking you out. No, right? You're telling Karun, I don't think your batting returns are good enough. We want to go with somebody else. So why are the rules being different for batsmen and bowlers? It's just, I can understand, yeah, you need 11 batsmen to the innings is 11 batting opportunities, so you want to maximize it. But then, hey, the match is also about
picking
four or
20
five bowlers
wickets,
taking wickets.
picking 20 wickets.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that
But
is
what about the
something.
batting as such? What did you observe from a batting perspective?
I think the
India's
batting,
batting.
I mean, India, I mean, my biggest concern was the batting order before the series started. In fact, in one of the previews, I've said that this is scary, but the batting did extremely well. I feel they did extremely well because everyone scored runs. There was no, I mean, except Sai and Karun, they didn't score a lot of runs, but
Yeah.
even they spent time in the middle. I mean, they blunted the English attack.
And they had
I mean,
important partnerships.
they had important partnerships, and it gave time for Gill and Rishabh Pant and Jadeja. It
Yeah,
was they were not rushed into batting.
correct.
They had a lot of time to come in. So I mean, Rahul. I mean, like we said in the
So
preview
KL
again.
Rahul, yeah,
I hope it was KL Rahul series. I think this was almost KL Rahul series because you don't factor in somebody scoring 754 runs. So without that 754 runs, this is definitely KL Rahul series. I'm very happy for KL Rahul, and I think he lived up to that elder statesman in that
yeah,
batting order because he
yeah,
realized that, in fact, in one of the interviews, he had told that when I walk
correct.
into the dressing room, suddenly I don't see Virat and Rohit
Yeah,
and
yeah,
all the batsmen are coming and asking me how to bat in England, what to
yeah,
do this, what to do. So suddenly he became the senior guy. And I
yeah,
think he lived up to it. Whatever inputs he gave to other batsmen, whether or not he gave, that worked. And for himself also, he
yeah,
almost, I mean, one fifth test was the only test when he didn't score
correct.
a 50 plus score,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
is awesome. I mean, England just couldn't get through him. Even if he scored those 40s, 60s, no, it took a lot of time. So that was
right. Yeah,
brilliant. It was KL Rahul. And overall, the batting was, I mean, no need to talk about Gill. Gill's batting was in a different level
yeah,
altogether. 754 is Bradman-esque, literally
yeah,
Bradman-esque. And overall, the batting was very gritty, I feel. They were not
mm.
flashy. They were not trying to give a counter punch to Basball. What
Not
England did,
batting in the same style,
yeah,
basically.
not
You
so
have your own approach.
they were not getting sucked into the baseball approach that because the opponents were doing that and scoring quick runs, okay, I also have to score those 400 quickly to get there. No, they took their own approach. Apart
Yeah,
from, I mean, Rishabh Pant here and there went
yeah,
berserk, but even he buckled down a lot of times and played slow innings.
correct.
And of course, Yashasvi Jaiswal is not, he was not getting sucked into baseball. That is the way he plays. I mean,
Yeah,
he can
correct.
play the slow game also. Like in Test 5, he
Yeah, he did that in
showed,
the second innings. Yeah,
yeah, so he showed that also. But I think that is the greatest win for this series, from this series, would be our batting. The way they kept themselves and kept to test batting, and they played very well, everyone. And I don't remember across 10 innings, maybe one you can call Jaga, one reckless dismissal. In Lord's
mm.
second innings, Yashasvi Jaiswal's,
Yeah,
if you had that, otherwise there was not a single
that's
reckless
true.
reckless
Yeah,
dismissal all through the series. I do not remember in my lifetime that I have seen an entire series going through zero or
yeah,
one reckless dismissals. Just throw the bat. So all those things. It's I am extremely impressed with the way the team batted. I hope they carry on. Apart from fixing the other things, the batting does not. Nobody needs to tinker
yeah,
with the
correct.
batting. Is what I feel.
Yeah, please. Yeah, absolutely.
So
And so,
I
in
think.
that
Do you
sense,
think?
is it like a great escape for Gautam and the support team? Because there was a lot of people that had written off,
Yeah,
and
I
I
think
mean, there
so
was
too. I think so.
rumors
I
floating
think.
around about the
I
support staff also being sacked and things like that. Is this?
I think so too, Jaga. I think so. I think Gautam and Moni Markle and Descartes would escape because of the series law, series 2-2. I feel maybe Gautam was not as critical, as was not as dangerous. His position was not as dangerous
Yeah.
as the others.
They're
Um,
more disposable, right?
I mean, I think Descartes should not. I don't think he deserves to be given because the batting has worked well. Descartes
Yeah.
is a batting coach, and the batting has done very well. Morne Markle is questionable. I would still say, though we got it. Though I mean, I think the last day of that 56 minutes or 54 minutes of play has
Mm.
helped Morne Markle, I think, because where we won with the bowling. So probably they will stay. I think, like you say, it could be a great escape for the entire support staff group.
And there was one thing that obviously will still remain a bit of contentious issue, right? I mean, Jasprit Bumrah, like I said earlier, announcing that he would only play three tests. I think the last word is still not yet out. There's a lot of things that we need to look at whether players should actually be allowed to do that. Did that also impact the team in terms of the combination was practically going to change every match, right? So,
No,
what do you think?
definitely. I mean, it of course it changes. I mean, of course the mindset. See, you saw Siraj doing well in Bumrah's absence. You can call it a good effect, but overall, I don't know how prepared each and every bowler is. They don't know.
Mm.
I mean, of course, they don't announce the 11 to us 2 3 days before the team management will know. So even the other players will switch off and switch on, right? Because of
Yeah,
Bumrah.
correct.
So that also has to be, and also overall, I mean, like you said, pick and choose. Let the final word be out. Whoever has the word say. But overall, Bumrah is also slightly off color this series. To be very
Mm.
honest, his numbers. When you look at the numbers, he's on top of the top three, top four bowling wicket number of wickets in spite of playing just 3 games. But still, I feel when you watch him, you would have realized anybody would have realized that his bowling
Yeah,
was a little off color. His deadly Yorkers and his slower ones were completely
variation.
missing
Yeah.
throughout the series. Were
Even the pace,
definitely
I think even the pace was off as we
yes.
got into the second and third test that he eventually ended up playing.
Yes, he was. I am sure if you have a candid talk with him, he will be the first one to agree that he was off color, especially
Mm.
coming off a series like that in
Yeah, yeah,
Australia. Okay, so I mean, he cannot do that Australia series every time, but overall, I think he was slightly off color. Maybe again, the IPL costed it. Did the IPL workload cost it? We don't know. We would never know.
yeah,
So that is something. So these are the probably the things that India can look at before we get into tougher series ahead, I feel.
yeah. But what about England, right? I mean, we spoke about how this was probably a great opportunity for them also to basically say, hey, you can't beat us at home, and that didn't quite happen.
Yeah,
What did you
exactly.
see about them in terms of their approach with the bat, with the ball? Because at the end of the day, they had quite a few batsmen who did pretty well. You had Joe Root, Harry Brook, and Joe Root was breaking records for fun. Harry Brook scored almost 3 centuries except a 99. Ben Duckett showed a lot of consistency compared to earlier. But what did you make about their batting, the whole approach around what they call
So
baseball?
those are the only three names you can say, Jaga.
Okay.
Those are the three names you have told totally conveyed everything about their batting. Beyond that, there is nothing to their batting. See, Zach Crowley averages something pathetic over his career, and
Yeah, yeah.
Pope
30 or
also the
something like
same.
that.
Pope, I mean, for an opener who's played so many games, nobody has averaged that much, I feel. And also, Wally Pope always scores in the first test. You remember he's got a
Yeah,
195 in India also in the first test,
yeah,
and
yeah.
after that, nothing. Again, the same thing this time also. I mean, he managed to get a 50 later in the series this time.
Correct.
But overall, I'm sure Zach Raleigh and Ollie Pop are lucky to be in the team. Ollie Pop was captain too. He is so
Mm.
in the last test, so it is they are definitely lucky to continue in the team. Overall, yes, yeah, like you said, even they had a golden opportunity to win the series. They should have stamped their authority and said, "You can't come with such a young team to England and beat us and go away, or even draw the series and go away." Something that they should have. But again, they were afraid of Bumrah, Siraj, and our bowling, and they dished out batting pitch after batting
Yeah.
pitch after batting pitch. So they didn't. So that again that actually worked against them. So our batting flourished in that. Their batting not so. To be
Mm.
honest, except for the three names, they said even Harry Brook. No, after the first two tests, he was kept quiet for a long time until the last
Correct. Yeah.
test.
Yeah.
So I mean, so Ben Duckett also the way he batted, he did a clear baseball batting. I don't know if there were wickets that's assisting the bowlers. Ben Duckett would have done so well. Okay, so the way he
Yeah.
batted worked because of the wickets, I would say. So
Yeah.
the pitches were
Absolutely. Yeah.
completely batting friendly. I mean, Joe Root is Joe Root. He's on a different level. He is all set to surpass Tendulkar. So any
Yeah.
wicket you would have given, Joe Root would have
Correct.
probably ended up with the 300s again. Even if they were
It's no
bowling friendly
difference.
wickets, he would have probably ended up with 300 still. But I think baseball as a plan, I've always been against that personally, and I think it has worked only against weaker opposition and not against India and Australia in the long run. Already there were some numbers saying that against India and Australia it has not worked as much as it has worked with other teams. So they definitely need to be having a plan B if they are focusing on the next big series. Even in the presentation, Ben Stokes told about the next big thing is coming
Yeah.
about
Yeah. Yeah.
Ashes. So uh, baseball needs baseball is plan B. They need plan C.
Yeah, and I think to continue on, right? The whole approach around flat tracks ends up impacting their bowlers also, because even in this series, only Jofra Archer and Ben Stokes had any sort of a reasonable impact from a bowling perspective. Ben Carrs, Josh Tongue every now and then, etc. And Atkinson in the last test. But by and large, the bowling was also off color. There was hardly any impact. You brought in people that really didn't do anything, and the fast bowlers eventually are going to get impacted. I think we covered that in one of the earlier videos as well, in terms of how baseball as a tactic, including the pitches, are actually going and impacting their own bowling stock. So England has a lot to think about. The pitches in Australia are probably not going to be as flat. So it'll be very interesting to see how they bat, how they bowl. But we'll get to that in another video. As we round things up, if there's one moment that stands out for you, or one person that stands out for you, who is that, or what is it?
Shubman Gill. No, nothing
Okay.
else. Shubman Gill. I mean, Siraj was for
Yeah,
his
yeah,
lion-heartedness, yes, but oh, if I have to pick one, it cannot be anybody other than Shubman Gill for the entire series. So because
and
starting the series, we all of us, including me, have questioned his credibility as a batsman in the 11 when he was given the
right.
captaincy. But he has just put all that down, and he's completely he's mastered it. I feel his captaincy has to improve. There is a lot of room for improvement.
Yeah,
First of all, from having a say in the selection 11, but I think as a batsman, he stood out as a across both the teams, 22, 28, 29 players, how many ever players played. I think he is
right.
easily the number one, Jaga.
I think
Um,
he needs to probably, I don't know if he trusts spin as much, because you could see that in terms of how late he was bringing in Washington and Jadeja into the attack, either in the fourth test or even the fifth test. But like you said, it's something that he will improve over time. But I
But
guess
right
that,
now, one thing, I would not completely blame that on him. Right now, I think you feel like a lot of captaincy decisions are taken in the dressing room. I feel, Jaga, this
hmm,
series. I mean,
okay.
maybe Shubman is new and does not have a
Yeah, so
say
Gautam was
so
coaching
say
him.
over Gautam or something, and also knowing Gautam's personality. So
Right.
all that into the picture, I feel a lot of things. I mean, yes, spin was brought on very late in every test. I also felt it, but it may not be Shubman Gill's problem. But Shubman Gill has to work on it. If he wants spin to be
Correct.
brought in earlier, he has to work on it
He has
and
to own it. Yeah.
voice it out, and be the captain there.
Yeah. Good. And I think one blemish, if you could say, is that he doesn't seem to like batting in London. Maybe either in the Oval or at the Lords, he didn't really score much. So maybe that's something to watch out for.
So he won't go and settle in London like our earlier captains.
Yeah, unlike other, yeah, probably not. At least not on the basis of this tour.
This tour, I think he got only 54 out of the 754
Okay.
in
Yeah,
London
that's bad.
from four
That's bad.
innings. So that's something. So
But
he won't settle in London for now.
But one plus that I definitely have is, I think he's probably the first Indian captain in the last 10, 11 years to not have a beard. That standard thing that we saw right from Virat and Rohit, even Ajinkya, Jasprit Bumrah, வரவன் போறவன்லாம் வந்து everybody is looking the same. After I think MS Dhoni is the first Indian captain, test captain, who's not sported a beard. So
Okay.
good marks, full marks for him for that also, for just breaking that monotony. Otherwise, everybody's looking alike. Anyway, so on that note, we'll wrap it. And thanks a lot for following us during the series. Please do keep the feedback coming in. One of the things that we'll do over the next few days, because there is a bit of a gap until the next round of international matches starts, at least the major ones start. We will also try and look at what's next for Australia, for England, what's next for India. So do watch out for that video in a few days' time. Until
Thank you.
then, thanks a lot.
Leave
Bye.
your comments. Leave your comments. Thank you.